Well, it's October. Fall is coming, and with it, Halloween.
A time of ghosts and ghouls, of monsters and mummies, of werewolves and vampires. I said vampires. There we go.
Some of you might be asking, RyGuy, how do you spend this spooky season? No? None of you? By playing horror games. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Requiem?
What was supposed to be an N64 title was delayed to the GameCube and released in 2002. Made by Silicon Knights, it was the first M-rated game directly published by Nintendo.
Man, I tell you, if this were 2002, that would be scary.
The game centers around Alex Roivas, the orphan granddaughter of a Rhode Island psychologist. One night, at the witching hour, she receives a phone call informing her that her grandfather, Edward Roivas, has been brutally murdered. She goes to his estate to personally investigate, and upon exploring the mansion finds a secret room that houses various artifacts, one of which is the Tome of Eternal Darkness. The Tome of Eternal Darkness is a Necronomicon-type book that chronicles the history of past individuals and their encounters with powerful otherworldly entities known as the Ancient Ones. The tome is also what enables the characters to cast spells, and near the beginning of each chapter, the character will be taken to an ominous room to claim the tome. And can we just take a minute to appreciate how awesome this room is? You got a long platform suspended above some kind of void. The sides are lined with the statues of those who previously had the tome and met horrible fates.
Pious. Alia. Anthony. You know, Kareem, I get the feeling you're going to be on that pedestal next, buddy.
You've got the tome resting in a skeletal hand which unfolds as you walk up to it. You've got this playing in the background. And if you look closely, you'll see that the floor is made up of animated screaming faces. You know that by taking the tome, you're committing yourself to a terrible fate, but you have no choice because you'll need the spells in the tome to battle the Ancient Ones. There are 4 Ancient Ones, but 3 of them can function as the main antagonist. At the beginning of the game, you play as Pius Augustus, a Roman centurion who stumbles upon an ancient temple. Within a secret chamber of the temple lie the essences of the 3 Ancient Ones. The first chapter ends with Pius selecting an essence, which corrupts him and makes him the right-hand man of the corresponding Ancient One. The 3 Ancient Ones are Chaturga, who is strong physically, Ulyaoth, who is strong magically, and Zelatoth, who is strong mentally. The Ancient One you choose will slightly alter your game experience. On the Chaturga path, minions will deal double damage, Ulyaoth's minions have odd magical effects, and Zelatoth's minions will deal more damage to your sanity. The enemies will even look different depending on which Ancient One was chosen. The 4th Ancient One is Mantarok, who appears in Chapter 2. Mantarok is told to have power over the 3 Ancient Ones, and keeps them in balance, but due to a binding spell used by Pius, is now unable to use the full extent of his power.
Pius.
What up? Meh. The game has a very unique way of storytelling, one that I haven't seen done before. In between chapters, you'll play as Alex and look for pages to the Tome of Eternal Darkness, which have been scattered around the mansion. Finding the next page lets you start a new chapter, where you'll play as a new character in their struggle to battle the forces of the Ancient Ones. The game has a fantastic cast of diverse characters. They all have their own story and motivations, which show how they've gotten involved with the Ancient Ones.
I have implored you for years, yet you ignore all my advances. You dominate my dreams, and I can think of nothing else. I fear I desire you many 100 times more than you love me.
Don't obsess over her, bro. You know, both people gotta be in it for the relationship to work. You know, give and take.
For weeks, I have dreamed of an ancient treasure, so precious that it changes all life around it. It must be mine, Kareem. If you truly desire me, as you say, then you will find this for me. Bring this treasure to me, and I will be yours.
Kareem, bro, let her go. Just let her go, man.
I need nothing more than you.
This is not going to end well for you, Kareem.
You'll find yourself getting very attached to them, which only makes it worse when most of them meet their horrific demise.
Oh! You okay, Paul? You know, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think Paul's going to be okay. Call it a hunch.
Each character's story takes place in a different time period, and the time frame of the game spans the last 2,000 years. So you'll be playing during select famous events in history like the Roman Empire, the Spanish Inquisition, World War I, and even the present day. This is a really awesome idea because rather than being told that the Ancient Ones are evil, you get to play through history and experience how many of mankind's conflicts have been directly influenced by the servants of the Ancient Ones, even though most of them turn out to be pious in disguise.
Who are you?
I am your lord and conqueror.
No, you're pious.
What manner of forsaken being are you?
Oh, called it!
You thought it was a fanatical monk, but really it was me, Pius Augustus! There are only 4 areas in the game, and you'll just be revisiting them in each chapter. And while I usually don't like this sort of thing, because you're going back to these places after hundreds of years have passed, it makes each visit feel unique. These frequent returns to areas actually help you solve some of the puzzles. When I got to this part with Michael Edwards, I remembered that earlier when I was playing as Roberto, there was a door here, so I gave the Reveal Invisible spell a try, and bada bing bada boom! Door. It's cool to see how the areas have changed when you revisit them, and sometimes you may even encounter a previous character.
Venture no further, or be struck down where you stand.
Kareem!
Fighting the Ancient Ones today takes everything you've got. Recovering your lost sanity sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to save the world? Sometimes you wanna go where people understand your pains. When zombies try to eat your brains. Getting all these runes and codexes can tend to be a really big strain. You wanna be where other people think you're sane. Pius and his evil plans can wait. You've got some rest to gain. You wanna be where other people think you're sane. Eternal Darkness has many of the common tropes of early horror games. Some camera angles are obscure, which can lead to frustration when enemies are tucked just out of view. In a very Resident Evil and Silent Hill fashion, items in your inventory can be inspected and combined.
Anthony has assembled 2/3 of a broken green urn. Man, Silicone Knights, you guys just get me.
There are also descriptions for just about everything, which really add to the atmosphere of the game. The descriptions of objects or an area usually have a foreshadowing tone to them, and are pretty enjoyable to read. This is a game where I wanted to inspect everything just to see what the game would tell me. A diabolic drawing of a stack of human bodies, each one cemented into place. What twisted psyche could have executed this drawing? Though disturbing, it is meticulously rendered down to the subtlest detail. The precise anatomy of fractured bones and the convolutions of spines and ribs entwine into a mesmerizing sight.
Holy crap!
Cackling gleefully, the servant casually tosses what appears to be a human organ into a nearby pot. Stirring carefully, she assures Maximilian that it will be a meal to be long remembered.
Max, it may be time to look for new help.
The woodcut shows an act of blasphemy. A host of demons prey upon humans like they were playthings. Disemboweled by mocking demons, eaten or tortured by other carnal deviant acts.
Paul, you should get out while you still can.
The altar is bereft of holy adornment. No crucifix, no Bible, no sacrament of any kind. Paul is disturbed by this sight. What faith does the order practice?
The faith of... Get out of there, Paul. Right now.
Welcome to Oubliette Cathedral, Brother Luther.
Run, Paul! Run!
The game over screen is hilarious. Paul has perished at the hands of the eternal darkness. With no one to stop their diabolical plans, humanity will surely be annihilated.
Yeah, because the chapter already ends so well for Paul. Case in point.
When you play as Maximilian Roivus, you can perform autopsies on the monsters you defeat, logging them in the Tome of Eternal Darkness. You can view a sketch of them and listen to Max's description of the creature, which is just the best thing ever.
Oh, gibbering insanity, wrought in flesh as though an artist had sculpted it. Created from nothing by their mistress, Zelototh, a canvas as grotesque as any. Their bodies made no sense, no heads, no organs, an empty husk, devoid of the trappings of nature, but it walked, it sang, it shrieked. a mockery of reason, both natural and mental, a blasphemy from beyond the veil. The veil has opened, and we should not see beyond.
And the Oscar goes to Maximilian RyViews. Crap, my credit card's late.
The combat system is a really intuitive idea that unfortunately falls short. By holding down the R button, you can target different body parts of enemies and attack them separately. You use the control stick to cycle between targetable areas, which means that while you're doing this you can't move, but it's really not that big of a sacrifice. Enemies can actually be disposed of quite easily as long as you can find their weak area and target it. But this is where things start to go wrong. When fighting an enemy one-on-one, it's wonderful. I can wreck zombies like no one's business. But when the game throws a group of enemies at you, which it does more than it should, combat becomes very clunky. The targeting limits you to one enemy at a time, so in a group you'll target one foe, and that foe might not even be close to you. Meanwhile, the other 5 guys you have to worry about are hitting you, which of course resets your targeting, so you have to start the process all over. This is incredibly frustrating when fighting the horror enemy. They have a total of 6 targetable areas on their body, with the center head being the weak spot. The center head can be hard to get to at times, and the horrors can hit you both up close and far away, causing you to have to reset the targeting cycle. And just hacking away at enemies isn't that great of an option because they will always take longer to kill. Now the magic system, on the other hand, is both intuitive and awesome. Spells are made by combining different runes on a power circle. You pick the rune of an ancient one for the alignment, or power source of the spell, then you pick a rune for what the spell targets, and another rune for what the spell does. It's a very cool style of spell crafting. You can find runes in the various chapters and their corresponding codexes. Codexes are stone slabs that tell you what the rune does, and you can't use the rune until you find its codex. The whole codex thing feels a bit unnecessary, but maybe that's just me. The enchant item spell is the bomb, by the way. Not only does it fix broken items, but you can enchant your weapons to make them stronger. And because the ancient ones function off a rock, paper, scissors dynamic, this means you can make your weapons superior to the forces of the ancient one that was chosen as your adversary. You can even find a hidden Manta Rock rune in one chapter, allowing you to cast spells under the Manta Rock alignment. Manta Rock's magic isn't strong or weak against the other ancient ones, but has a damage over time effect, which makes it pretty useful at certain parts of the game. Other spells include healing you, shielding you, dispelling other magic, or even summoning your own monsters. This is one of the few games I've played where using magic is actually awesome. They even give you the option to assign spells to the D-pad for shortcuts. Most of the time you can save anywhere you want, a feature I've always loved in games, but I say most of the time because...
The darkness is coming. It is not safe to save right now. I know true terror.
The mechanics of the game carry over from character to character, but your stats don't, a touch that I actually liked a lot. The fluctuating stat changes make every character feel unique. Michael Edwards, a firefighter, has a huge amount of stamina, but poor sanity. Whereas Edward RyViews, a psychologist, is the opposite with a huge amount of sanity and lackluster stamina. Of course, he has a little help from some good old liquid courage. It's actually called liquid courage. However, this also means that a few characters aren't so great to play as.
Roberto, you've been lightly jogging for like 10 seconds. The world is in danger, man. Pick up the pace.
One complaint I have is that I wish I could have spent more time playing as Alex. Playing as Alex is fun. She actually knows how to use weapons, unlike some characters. Anthony haphazardly flings the scramasax into foes, but becomes a freaking sword master once you have the two-edged sword. Alex has super high health, magic, and sanity. She feels like a superhero compared to everyone else. But the thing this game is known for are the sanity effects. In addition to health and magic bars, you also get a sanity bar to gauge just how crazy your character's going. Encountering monsters lowers your sanity, and when you have little to none left, your character will hallucinate. Some of these effects are really cool, like falling through the floor, your inventory vanishing, or having your body fall to pieces.
My head fell off, and I have the option to pick it up. Okay, yeah, let's pick it up.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
It's reciting Shakespeare. It's reciting Shakespeare.
You can end up on the ceiling, blood can drip, or my personal favorite.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Eternal Darkness. Eternal Darkness? Eternal Darkness? Oh.
The hallucinations only last a few seconds before the game returns to normal, with the character saying, "This can't be happening." The voice acting ranges from believable to downright cheesy.
This isn't really happening.
Seriously? That's the voice everyone does when they're doing a Shatner impression. This isn't really happening.
Spooky things will also just happen in the game, especially in the mansion. Noises,
Go! Jeez!
weird jump scares,
God! Why?
the phone ringing?
Hello?
Remember me, Alex?
Can't be happening!
Really? You can't be prank called? Out of everything that's been going on, that's the thing that can't be happening.
The statue's head follows you. He looks really lonely, like he wants Alex to spend time with him. The final fight is great. Each character's story has been building up to the final showdown, and the spirits of all the characters who didn't get pleasant endings aid you in a tag team fashion.
Elia!
While Pius has been summoning his Ancient One, the other characters throughout the ages have been collecting the necessary components that Alex uses to summon the Ancient One that will defeat Pius's. But upon defeating Pius, Alex realizes that any Ancient One being free spells destruction for humanity, and the ghost of Edward helps seal it, making it a happy ending. Or is it? There's a secret ending once you play through the game 3 times, picking a different Ancient One each replay. I won't give anything away about the true ending, but if you're familiar with the works of Lovecraft, you know how these things usually end. Man, I can't get enough of that clip. The game does have a few low points. It can take a while to get through if you don't know what you're doing, and the thing that bothered me the most was not having the option to skip cutscenes I had seen before. I died quite a bit on certain bosses, and having to watch the same scene over and over when I just wanted to get to the fight annoyed me. But low points aside, this game is wonderful. The great characters and awesome story make up for any shortcomings.
This is a great game. It's a good way to get into the spirit of the season. There is so much more to this game that I didn't even get a chance to talk about. So if you have a copy of Eternal Darkness or know someone that does, give it a play. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween.